Want to achieve network marketing success? Then you're in the right company. Hello, and welcome to Leave Nothing to Chance, hosted by networking marketing giant, John Solider. Learn everything you need to know about the network marketing space from somebody who's actually done it. Join us every week for front row seats as we feature some of the finest and most successful personalities in network marketing. Leave nothing to chance. Join us now.
It is my honor and distinct pleasure to welcome Mr. Frazer Brookes all the way from beautiful Dubai. And how's the weather in Dubai today?
You know what? The weather is amazing. I was speaking to my wife. She's over in Moscow at the moment, and it was minus 25 degrees Celsius. And I was laughing because I went on the weather app on my phone and it was plus 25 degrees Celsius here. So I was kind of like, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful life. It's been amazing. And yeah, I'm beyond blessed. That's for sure.
Wow. So you're in Dubai and you're doing all sorts of wonderful things in our industry and in social media and helping a whole lot of people. And a lot of people are being impacted by your work. So thank you for doing that. You're a blessing to our industry. And of course, as I shared with you a couple of minutes ago, I was there a couple of days after you were born because your dad, my dear friend Simon, and I used to work together in the United Kingdom all those years ago, and we were together. And he rushed off to the hospital, and you were born, and we stopped by a couple of days later to see your mom and you. So that was a long time ago, and the only bad news for me is, when you start to interview your friends' kids, you know that you're getting old.
I love it, John. I'm so grateful for you as well over the years, from passing nuggets and mentorship onto my dad, who in turn has then passed it on to me. And that's what the wonderful thing about network marketing is, right? There we get to pass on all our top tips and our nuggets that we learn and gather from the people we meet along the way. And I'm eternally grateful for the nuggets that you've shared with my dad over the years and the friendship that you had with my dad. Because without that, I really wouldn't be where I am today. And I would say it's hidden legacy, or like instead of residual income, it's residual impact, where you kind of, instead of, you're getting paid for the work you did once, it's you're impacting people for the things you said once. And I'm super grateful for that, for you. So thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. And, I know you've read our new book, Leave Nothing to Chance, which this podcast is based on. We have to call it Leaving Nothing to Chance. Everybody's wondering why it has to be leaving. One of the big banks owns Leave Nothing to Chance, which I'm not sure what that's about. But anyway, we're leaving nothing to chance on the podcast. So I know you've read the book, Leave Nothing to Chance. And tell me, the principle that stands out to you most is what?
Well, I won't forget the book because I read it on my honeymoon in the Maldives. So there's not many parts of the world that can top that. So I'm grateful for that. But I was thinking about this earlier. So I think it's principle 9, and principle 9 is all about showing love to others. I was someone growing up. I've grown up in a very competitive family. In a competitive industry. I was saying to you off air before that I believe network marketing used to be a mainly competitive industry. There wasn't really generic events weren't really around way back when, and it wasn't really kind of promoted from what I could see in my family, that go to outside events and learn from other people and have cross-company friendships and all that. And now we're transitioned into a more of a collaborative industry where people are friends with people in different companies, top leaders. And if there's beef between each company, the leaders might even get together and just kind of be like, hey, I've heard you guys are saying this about us. Let's kind of nip it in the bud. It's never the leaders having the issue. It's the team and the team and the team and the team that has the issue. And when I kind of read that principle 9, I realized, you know what? The moment my business changed and my career changed was when I started to focus on giving love to other people, especially when it came to my specialty, which is social media. My engagement, my growth, my followership, my influence, my authority grew only because I gave love to other people first. So I'm a great believer in our parents love us, we love our parents because our parents loved us first. So I believe in order for you to get love, you've got to give love. So that principle really it hit me, because I don't think people talk about it enough genuinely. And I just find that it's one of the big fundamentals if you want to build a big business now, especially especially in social media and network marketing. It's just fundamental that you show love onto other people, and don't even expect it back, because it will come back in different ways. So I'm glad that's one of the 15 principles for sure.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And, you were raised by, a mom and dad that I know, I know them so well, spent so much time even in their home. I don't know if you remember, you were a pretty little guy, but, I'd come to your house whenever I'd be up that way in the UK, and spent a lot of time with your dad, especially. So you were raised by somebody who certainly believes in self-development.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the first book that you read that you really went, you had that aha moment where you said, I get it? If so, what was the book?
So when it comes to a book, the book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it feels like such a meh answer, because that's the book that's helped a lot of people, but it triggered something in me. It wasn't the reason that made me go, oh, wow, I need to have an income stream that I'm in control of. Because I traveled like you traveled all over the country with my dad in his car, right? And you will know that he will not listen to music. Even today, if the music is on, he will turn the music off, because he doesn't like to fill his head with just songs and music. He wants to fill it with personal development. So I would say the Earl Nightingales, Jim Rohns, the Bill Britts, Dexter Yeagers, the kind of the Larry Thompsons. I can still remember today, the biggest thing that I remember as a kid is please turn over to side B for more from Jim Rohn. And that was the cassette tape that you used to put in. It used to play it, and then you had to take it out and put it back in, and you would get the second half. So I wouldn't say the book is what made me kind of go, oh, wow, I've got to do network marketing. This is it. I would think it was just the piece of personal development that I heard at the absolute right time in my life that then pushed me to get started. But yeah, listening to all those cassette tapes, and I genuinely believe we're in a bit of a problem in the industry of network marketing right now. And I'll touch on this real quick, is that because I'm a second generation network marketer, 100% of my life has been in network marketing, right? I've been around my parents doing it. And you think about it as the kid, I'm in my mum's arms, like she's rocking me to sleep, or whatever the technical term for that is. And I can hear my dad on the phone. Maybe he's talking to you. Maybe he's doing a three-way call. Maybe he's pitching, prospecting, inviting, celebrating, recognizing. I walk past the room and I see my dad doing a business presentation in front of 10 people. I get taken to the event. I'm at the back of the room in the pram, and I'm hearing people like you speak. I'm hearing people. I'm not going to go into all the names. There's too many of them to remember, right? To mention. But I'm seeing them on stage and presenting and speaking. I didn't make any notes. I was 2. I was 3. I was 4. But I honestly, genuinely believe it's still up here. And the reason why I tell you this is because I think the problem in the industry we're having now is, and this is from someone who promotes social media, so please understand that this is coming from complete honesty, transparency, is the problem is people are trying to do their business by just typing. I would not know 95% of what I do today if my dad just typed his way to success, because I wouldn't have heard it. I wouldn't have heard what he was doing. I wouldn't have heard what he was saying. So I believe that the personal development that led up to it was, I'm so grateful for, so grateful for. Rich Dad, Poor Dad kind of made me realize I've got to do something about this network marketing thing. But I also believe that we have to use our voice and our body to communicate, and not just our thumbs. Otherwise, if you've got kids and you're building your business around your kids, I'll tell you this, the best thing about building a business as a parent in network marketing without being a parent is not the money. It's the impact you'll have on your kids, and the fact that your kids will look up to you as their heroes because of what you created and what they've seen you do. So yeah, interesting answer to the question there, John. But yeah, that's my that's the book.
Well, that's a great book, by the way. One of my favorites, certainly too. So let's just say that you were back in the Maldives, with your beautiful wife. I know you just got married, so congratulations on that. But somebody said, and because technology, obviously, right? And what you just said, listening, okay, and you're absolutely right. And that's a great point. So many parents are doing that, myself included. They're typing stuff instead of letting their kids hear it. So great point. But you're in the Maldives, and they say, you know what? You can never leave. There's only 3 books, CDs, DVDs, podcasts, whatever you want to call it. Okay. There's only 3 that you can have with you. What are they?
3 books. All right. And I'm not allowed to mention your book, and I'm not allowed to mention my book.
Okay.
Right? All right.
Well, those would be the top 2, but okay. Besides those,
I've got one left. Nothing to chat, right? And we've got I Dare You, and then the next one. All right. So we've got the 2 bonus books, one of yours and one of mine. All right, that's good. Happy to know that. I would say the first one, and the reason the first one is the first one for me is because it's the one that made me go on a winning streak about 8 years ago that I'm still on today. It made me realize the power of consistency. And that's the book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Mm-hmm. I think it's simple to understand. We all have been told it, but I didn't really get it until I read that book. And I think sometimes I need the reminder of, when I see myself dipping, I need the reminder of compound effect, compound effect, compound effect. So that'd be the first one. Second one would be The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason, I believe it is. I just love reading that book. I've read it so many times. I love the style of the book. It's an old school book. Even the book that I've got, the pages are yellow now. They're not like a white or an off-white. They're like yellow in color. The principles in there just help with financial education and understanding of, save some, invest some, give some. That's helped me a lot, and it'll help me be able to get off the island if I needed to get off the island, I suppose, if I could have saved up enough money and to be able to get a plane that get me off that place. Not that I'd want to leave. And the third one, I would probably say, is The 5 Love Languages by, I think it's Gary Chapman, I think is the author. That could be wrong. I think it's Gary Chapman, but that would just help me with my relationship. It's a very basic book, and if you've read it, you'll know the power of it. If you haven't read it, then I highly recommend it. But when I started to understand that people, because I've grown up around my dad, who is, as you know, John, is a massive red personality, just like everyone's the same, like same message, different audience, like doesn't adapt it. Whereas I am red yellow, in fact, like the background on your screen here. So I kind of empathize. I want to help people. So I've grown up in a way of just same message, same audience. And then when I started to understand the love languages and realize, you know what, I might be someone who likes acts of service. I like it when my wife does things for me to help me out, but she likes words of affirmation and affection, like, physical touch. Mm-hmm. I realized, wow, I need to speak to people how they want to be spoken to. So understanding a little bit more about people and personality types helped me just with languaging. So those would be the 3 books that I think I wish I could take so many more, but those would be the 3 basic books that I would take with me.
Great. Well, one of the things that comes up on these calls, and one of the things that I'm dedicated to in the balance of my life and career, is to get people to read more. And when I say read, all readers are leaders, all leaders are readers, right? It's synonymous with success. I don't care who you are. Certainly, if you're in our industry, that's the case. That's how I've spent, my career, obviously 38 years anyway. But I've been around people in other things that are successful. And it's the same thing. They got the books. You sit on an airplane next to them, they got a book open. Or now they're listening to a podcast, or they're listening to something like your dad always did. Turn the car into the classroom, or the airplane into the classroom, or the whatever. Great point. So I'm in Dubai today, and I call you up and I say, Frazer, I'm stopping by. We're going to go have dinner. But before that, I want to see what you're reading right now. What's on your coffee table right now?
So I've got a bit of an interesting one. So honestly, the things that are on my desk right now are my 2 books, which is kind of a bit weird, but they're always there. So at the moment, I'm actually committing more time to writing my next book than I actually am reading a book. which is, I know that sounds completely crazy, but I've actually got next to me is The 4-Year Career by Richard Bliss Brooke, who is not a relative. I know his name's Brooke. My name's Brookes. We're not related. We will be somewhere down the ancestry somewhere, I guess. But yeah, the 4-Year Career by Richard Bliss Brooke is a book that I'm rereading just because he sent me a bunch of them. So I thought, yeah, it's a good book. So
Great.
I thought I'd refresh.
Great. So let's talk about your career a little bit. You've written a couple of books. You're writing a third one. I know that, but talk a little bit. Feel free. Our audience is generic network marketers and anybody else looking at network marketing. And you become such a voice in the industry, especially honestly for a lot of the younger distributors that say, hey, social media, and they ask an old guy like me, and I go, well, I'm on Facebook, So, but let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about your first book. And your second book, and what's the third book looking like?
So the first book. So there's a reason. So someone said to me, "Frazer, do you have a book?" And I said, no. I mean, because I actually listen more than I read, just because of the way like my schedule is. There's something playing constantly next to me, right? Like what my dad did to me, right? Just constantly playing, so it just feeds it subconsciously. And someone said, so what happens if something happened to you tomorrow? And I kind of looked at them and was like, what? Like, that's a bit of an interesting thing to just say. It was like literally the second thing they said to me ever. And I was like, okay, so yeah, but like, let's think about it. You said your mission is to raise the professionalism in network marketing done online and to unite the industry to make it sexy again. What happens if you disappear tomorrow? Like, how are we going to learn? And I was like, I should probably write a book. So what I did is I took some of the principles, right? Because I believe in principles. I think the principles and the fundamentals must be learned. And I basically just audio messaged it, just got my phone, went into like the dictaphone, right? The phone version of the dictaphone, and just spoke for just under 2 hours about social media, the fundamentals of social media, right? We trust the process and the fundamentals, but we test the tactics, so to speak. So I said the fundamentals of social media, put it in the book, announced it to the world. People it's not on Amazon, it's not on Audible. You can only buy one book, you can't buy in bulk. And we sold 50,000 copies relatively quickly. And it made me realize, because it was the first step, it was just how to recruit on social media. So again, here's what I love the most about what I do. Most people come to me and go, I don't like the way like my old school uplines are teaching me how to build network marketing. I don't want to speak to people in the street and nudge them on the airplane. I'm introverted. I can't do it. And they come to me and they kind of think like, I know you're like the rebel. You only teach social media. And I'm like, this is what people are getting wrong. The fundamentals, what John's teaching, what Larry Thompson taught before, and what Jim Rohn's taught, you have to learn them first. Don't just come into network marketing and just build on social media. You won't last. You won't last because you won't know the fundamentals. So my fundamentals are create content so people can at least see you're out there. Comment on other people's posts so that you're giving love to other people. So people are going to give love on you. The third, fourth, and fifth one are the fundamentals. Connect with people, communicate with people, and close people. That's it. So create content, comment, connect, communicate, close. That's basically the book. There's a little bit about my dad's story, a little bit about my story, and then the 5 principles. So it's a step-by-step guide of what to post, where to comment, how to connect on social media. But it's basically a platform. Instead of going to the gym and asking someone, you go into a Facebook group and ask them there instead. And I get frustrated, but as Jim Rohn says, turn your frustration into fascination. I got really frustrated that our industry was going down a very, 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 in my opinion, a very, very scary path, that there was a big transition onto social media and there was these big incomes being created, but the leadership gap I've never seen the leadership gap this big or this wide in my entire life. I've never, ever seen where I've got people I work with people who are making 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100,000 a month in a 2-3 year time period. And you ask them, hey, what was your biggest lesson from Bill Britt? What's your biggest lesson from Jim Rohn? And they'll go, how do you spell that? Jim, is it Rowan? No. I'm thinking, no, that can't, like, that's a problem. That has to be a problem. So yeah, I want people to know the fundamentals first and then come on to social media and use social media. So yeah, first book's all about recruiting. Second book's all about duplication and getting people started on social media. So again, it's the fundamentals and how you do the fundamentals on social media. This is part of the fight that I'm fighting with my own personal brand. I want to be known as a social media guy. That's what I'm known for. That's my speciality. But I don't want people to think I can only do it on social media. Oh, I don't go to events. Oh, you don't go to events. You do it all on social media, right? You just watch a Facebook Live. No, you go to every single event that you can and even more. So yeah, it's a problem, but we're getting there. Step by step, we're getting there. And I think we'll be bigger and stronger and better as a result of it. So yeah.
Great. And the third book, I know it's in process, but give us a sneak peek. What's it on?
So I can't give the title just yet because I have to get it passed legally to see if we're even allowed to call it what I want to call it. But it's basically the network marketer's online journey to paradise. Is basically it. So step by step. In fact, similar to like a 15 principle concept for the online space. Again, so it's all online. It'll be connecting and following my main principles, just a little bit more strategy. So I like to tell a story, give a strategy, tell a story, give a strategy, tell a story, give a strategy. It's kind of like the process of the book. So hopefully that'll be out October. I want COVID to pass before we bring that one out, but I'm excited for that one.
Great. Well, congratulations. And I can relate. I know writing these books is literally a labor of love when you write, 5 minutes between calls or 10 minutes on an airplane or, or you get an idea at the gym and you go, oh, I don't even have a place to write it down. You got to borrow a piece of paper and a pen, right? If you can find somebody who has a pen anymore and a piece of paper, which, I've got my phone. Well, your phone doesn't do me any good, So this is great stuff, Frazer. So let me go a little different direction with you. I see right now two distinct groups of people, and there's probably all sorts of hybrids and everything else, but I see two groups of people that, because of the pandemic, have been almost forced to consider network marketing that it may not have even been on their radar previously. And I'll tell you the two groups. I'd love your reaction to this. The first group are guys my age, your dad's age, et cetera. Late 50s, early 60s. Maybe they've owned their own business. Maybe they've been really, really successful, perhaps, but they didn't put enough money away to retire for good. And that business is not either going to come back at all, or it's going to come back watered down. Or perhaps they've been somebody who worked for somebody else for many, many years, maybe once again, successful, top salesman in their whatever the business was. Or that other group, they've been a professional, whatever, and their business now, because of technology, and now obviously to a lot of employers, the reality that technology can replace people, offices, et cetera, maybe they're going to be either downsized or eliminated. So they're looking at and they go, well, what are my options? Where do I make that extra X amount of dollars per month to make ends meet going forward? And then there's this second group of people who are, my oldest daughter's age, 25. And they're in that same situation that 60-year-old is. They just don't realize it, where they're looking at the world and they're saying, maybe I have a degree from a great university. Maybe I don't, for that matter. Maybe that was in process and all the things happened. And here we are. Now, they've got a lot of the skill sets that the 60-year-old person probably doesn't have, because they grew up with an iPhone in their hand and technology. So they've got some skill sets, but they don't know what to do with them either. So your advice as the social media guru that understands network marketing inside and out, what's your advice to those two groups of people? They're sitting in your office today. There's two guys in your office today. They're sitting in front of you and they're saying, hey, we're looking at this network marketing industry. Why should we do it?
Mm-hmm. This might sound basic and simple, but that's me in a nutshell. Why not? like, what have you got to lose? Like, what have you got to lose by giving it a go? I think the problem that people have now is we all get bad reactions. We all get negativity, objections, but people, I think, are afraid of getting those objections, not the idea of actually handling them. I think that people are afraid. I think people are afraid of the idea that their best friend's saying, "Oh, you're not doing one of them, are you?" And instead of them going, "Yeah, why wouldn't I?" They think, "Oh, really? Do you not think I should do it?" And they kind of are addicted to wanting to be sad versus wanting to be happy. So the 20, 25, 30, 35 kind of category, I would say, listen, go onto your phone and check out, go onto screen time. Go on, if you've got an iPhone settings, screen time, and go and count how much time a week. It'll tell you app by app how much time you're spending on each app. If it's more than 5 hours a week, you need to be making money from that time. You need to be making money on that time. So you're probably using the Facebook app, the Instagram app, the TikTok app, the MySpace app, whatever app of the week it is, right when you're listening to this podcast, right? You're probably using it already. So why not get paid for it? Why not? Oh, but saturation, like everyone in my friends are doing network marketing. Come on, grow up. I mean, look at iPhones. I mean, everyone I know has an iPhone or an Android, but people still mysteriously seem to be buying iPhones and Androids. It's kind of crazy how that works. The second group, or the first group, how you said, was the kind of the 50 to 70 kind of bracket, the people who have been in business. I think that category is a little bit more difficult. Because I would take my dad, for example, right? My dad is going to be 62 in a couple of weeks. 2 or 3 weeks. So he's going to be 62 in a couple of weeks. And he calls me his remote control, meaning that if he needs anything to do with technology, he will call me and he'll just press my buttons and I'll do it for him, right? So he actually quite often says to me, he says, Frazer, my family call me Frazer, right? Frazer, I'm really concerned because I've never known a time in my entire career where I felt left behind because I can't learn this fast enough. Everything else I felt like I could learn. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for that age bracket, but the Rolodex of people, right? Rolodex for the younger generation, it's basically your contact list, right? Your contact list at that age is phenomenal. Every 20 to 40-year-old would love a 50 to 70-year-old contact list. Every single one. And here's what I've identified over the years. And I did this by asking my mum. So my mum is younger than my dad. That's all I'll say. But she looks half my dad's age. She could probably get away for being half my dad's age, to be fair. I asked her, I said, like, as a parent, like, why do you think other women who are parents, who are like moms, single moms, married moms, whatever moms, why should they do network marketing? And she just took half a second and just looked at me and said, identity. Like a lot of women, especially in their 50s, 60s, they've been a mum. They've got a kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, maybe even no kids. Or they've been called mum for such a long time. And then all of a sudden their kids leave the house, they go to university, they have a family, they get married, whatever. And all of a sudden there's no one calling their mum every day. And there's like that kind of sense of, and it's hard for me to talk about this because I'm not in that situation, but network marketing gives you the chance to find that purpose. And I think there's 2 problems that we have in life, regardless what your age is. Number 1 is a money problem. So joining for the money is amazing. The second problem we have is once you've conquered the money problem and money's not an issue, it's a passion or a purpose problem. So it's what's your purpose? Because if you've got money with no purpose, you're not happy. If you've got money and purpose, you are the happiest guy, happiest woman alive. So different kind of different brackets, different issues, but I would give it a go. The worst that can happen is there isn't. You lose maybe a $300 investment or outlay, if you can call it an investment, $300 outlay, and you give it a go and you figure it out and you join the communities that you're in and you learn the social media skills. You'll have that skill for life. But my big tip is build it offline before you build it online. Build it with your friends and family before you build it with strangers. although it is an industry where we turn strangers into friends, friends into family, you already have friends and family who want you to tell them what you're doing instead of letting them find out on social media. So don't post on social media first and then tell your friends and family. Tell your friends and family that something exciting's coming and you want to let them know first, and then go onto social media and tell the world, so at least they feel good about what you're doing and not the other way.
Wow. You know, what's amazing, the way that you think is you've been able to narrow that divide between those two groups of people who, you know, a lot of times, you know, like I have a 25-year-old daughter, I have a 17-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. They're in a different world than I am. And I'm like your dad, by the way. I have a problem with Zoom. Come here. You know, my son's upstairs because of COVID. He's going to school online. It's like, I'll text him, come down, I need your help. You know, and he'll come down and he'll save me from myself. So, but it's very true. But in all seriousness, that bridge, and I love what you said, because so many people think this is a social media business, and it is. And yet it's still a business of talking to, you know, the guy on the treadmill at the gym next to you, or the guy you play golf with, or the guy you sit in a church pew with, or your next door neighbor. Perfect example. It took 38 years, Frazer, 38 years. But my sister in New York has finally joined me in my current business.
No.
Because she had, get this, she had an accident and she had a great product result with our product. And she's a doctor, so she's much smarter than I am, a lot more education, formal education. And of course, she's smarter than I am. And when she got hurt, I continually said, you got to take, she had taken our product sporadically, you know, thinking that you're doing you a favor sometimes, you know, yeah, okay, I'll buy the product. I'm doing you a favor. I figure you need the money, you know, and, but it's so funny, but we're going down this road with her two kids, right, who are both professionals, where it's like, okay, I want to use social media to build. And we're saying, well, yeah, but you know, all these people, you know, get started. So what you said is invaluable, not just obviously for me, but for thousands of people that are going to listen to this interview, where you're telling them, hey, social media is a tool, like talking to your next door neighbor is a tool, do it all. And it's going to get results. You might get, you know, some results from social media. You might get some results from talking to your next door neighbor, but do it all. I love what you said. And it's such a great insight to share.
Well, I'll tell you this. So social media will help a lot of people with confidence. So for example, the first time I spoke on stage outside of being a kid and my dad giving me the microphone, you know, to impress his friends or whatever it was, right? First time I spoke on stage as a kid, as like a network marketer, I was 22 years old. I grabbed the phone. My dad sprung it on me, didn't tell me, didn't warn me. All my friends were on the back row, grabbed the microphone at the very bottom. You could see the microphone shake from side to side through nerves from the back row. And I just burst into tears. Didn't say my name, didn't say a word, just burst into tears. I was so full of the fear of public speaking that I just couldn't, I didn't know I just started bursting into tears. Social media and live video helped me to be able to now, I'm 32 years old and I've been paid to speak in 31 countries, wow, which is just for me. And I don't mean that to be like, haha, look at me. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have become the home presentation speaker, the three-way call speaker, the little groups that, oh man, people on social media, if you're a COVID baby, just you wait until you take a group of friends to an event. And it's not the event necessarily, the presentation. It's what happens after the presentation when you get your 2 or 3 friends and you introduce them to the speaker. And it's like, you can see their kind of mind is blown because they're speaking to someone who's speaking in front of a room, and you're missing that online. And it's just by doing social media, like Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives, it gave me the confidence that, you know what, people are actually enjoying what I'm talking about here. And if it goes horribly wrong, I just turn the live off, I delete it, and I get back to my life. That's helped massively. But what you will find is, I call it like the ladder of communication in my book. If you text with someone, just text, getting a reply, so easy. Like, they can reply or they can't, right? But the level of conversion is super low, right? You might have to text 100 people to get someone to join your business, or maybe, you know, buy your product. But as you climb the ladder, it's harder to make happen, but it's a better conversion. So what I mean by that is, by the time you get face to face with someone in a coffee shop, getting a stranger to meet you in a coffee shop, is not so easy. But if you master that skill by following the fundamental trainings that have been passed down from years to years to years, if you get someone in front of you in a coffee shop, I don't know, 4 or 5 of those, you'll get a customer. You'll get a distributor, maybe even better, depending on how much skills and experience you have. So if you're not confident, social media is great to gain confidence. But what I will tell you is don't just try and text your way to success. Start using audio messages, video messages, jump on a Zoom call, meet them up at their house, at your house, at a coffee shop, because offline will win. Social media is putting the fun into the fundamentals, right? It's putting the fun into the fundamentals. We cannot forget the fundamentals. We cannot forget the principles. I believe so strongly in this because more money's being made from the fundamentals than it has on social media. Just a fact.
Great. You kind of answered my next question, but I'll ask it anyway. So let's say, and I realize you're working generically and you're working with tons and tons of distributors and companies and everything else and all of that. But let's just say that one of those two people, the 25-year-old or the 60-year-old or both of them, said, okay, joining a multi-level today. How do you get them off to a flying start? How do you get them so that they see results quickly? What's your best couple of points for them?
So traditionally, again, this is me taking the fundamentals and doing it online. So fundamentally, it's invite your nearest and dearest round to your house and we'll do a little presentation. And the upline would, I'll come round to your house and I'll do the presentation. I'll do it, you watch. Then I'll do it, you'll help. Then you'll do it, I'll help. You'll do it, I'll watch. And then you'll do it on your same, like the classic me, we, you. So I take that principle and write your list. Step 1, fundamental, write your list. Step 2, contact 5 of the people on that list. I'm not going to tell you how to, just do it how you naturally would. And what we're going to do is we're going to do what I call an exclusive Zoom. Now, exclusive Zoom, I call easy. E for exclusive, Z for Zoom, because they're super easy to do. So we're going to do this exclusive Zoom. It's going to be me, you, and your 5 nearest and dearest, your 5 friends, and I'm going to do a presentation. It's going to be exactly what we would do like in a home event, but people don't need to drive to your house. They don't have to get dressed up. They can just watch it on a Zoom call. We'll probably start with the product, and then we might talk about the business later for the right people. So I'll do that. We'll do that 2 or 3 times, and then we will go on to social media, and I will do a live, kind of like what we're doing here, a live interview, side by side on social media, where I interview you about why you joined, like how we got connected, why you joined, why you want to tell your friends and family, and what the next steps are. 5 to 10 minutes max.
Great.
So the reason why you want to do this, especially if you want to build it on social media, is you need to make sure your friends and family know that you're thinking of them before you're thinking of the whole world, right? Most people, what they do is they get their phone, they go on social media and go, I've just joined the business, or wow, I'm looking for 5 people who want to join my team, or buy my product, here's the link. Their friends and family see that. Then they contact their friends and family. What do you think their friends and family are thinking? Oh yeah, I've just seen that post you made on social media. No one liked it. No one commented on it. Like, oh yeah, I'm really curious as to what your product is because I've just seen the link and the information that it points to. No, you need to make sure they know that you love and appreciate and respect them the most. So fundamental 1, write the list. Fundamental 2, invite 5 people. Fundamental 3, do the home presentation just online if you have to do it online, right? Fundamental 4 will then be do an interview to introduce that you're in this business to your social media following. And fundamental 5 is test and tweak. Go to your upline and tell them what you're saying. And I'm a great believer in that you've got to get them winning in the first 48, maybe 72 hours. Get them making $1 and they'll last the 90 days. And if they last the 90 days, they've got a good chance of lasting a year. And if they last a year, they can maybe create a decent side income for them to get excited about and their partner get excited about. And the kind of rest we all know what happens after that. For those of you who've been around the game for a while, you'll know what happens after that. So yeah,
that is great advice. And I can't not say this. I hear your dad when you say that kind of stuff, because your dad was such a very amazing teacher And, you know, the success that he had in the industry was because of his ability to take very, very complex things and just make them very kind of in your face, kind of like, here's how you do it, you know. And I can hear your dad in what you're saying, plus all of the new stuff that you've learned, obviously, that you've taught him and our generation, so to speak. So in kind of wrapping up where we are here, you shared a story with me earlier, we were offline, about something that happened with your dad and I way back. I'd love for you to share that story with everybody.
Right. So John's name's come up in our household and my lifetime more times than most. More times than most. I would say his name's probably been mentioned definitely top 10. Now, I want you to think about this. This includes people like your Jim Rohn and your Larry Thompson, right? It's just come up a lot. So I've always looked up from John from afar. We've spoken before, but not in this kind of environment, right? I probably was crying or was maybe sick on his lap when I was like 1 or maybe 2 years old, right? So my dad obviously talked about John a lot. My dad says things on repeat a lot as well. So he says things time and time again. I have no idea where half of them come from. I've got no note of it, no documentation of it, but he's a very repetitive person, which is great. It's a good thing, good skill. So he was telling me a story. I said, "Oh, Dad, me and John are going to do this interview next week." And he was like, "Oh, that's amazing, John. John's incredible. Learned so much from John. But I'll tell you something." I said, "Oh, I've got to tell you this." And he basically said that they were at an event. I think it was in London or Manchester, somewhere in the UK. And they were sitting having a coffee, and they were just checking out of the hotel. And John asked for his bill and said, we're just sitting over here. And they brought the bill over, and there was a fee or a payment of like an international calling fee of like 78p, which worked out at like $1. And John basically asked the receptionist or whoever that was there, saying, "Can I have like an invoice for that payment?" And she was like, yeah, we'll get that sorted. And my dad was like, "What? Like, John, it's $1. Like, just let it go. Like, what's the point?" And John basically turned to him and said, "Simon, no one got wealthy by throwing money away." And it was so funny because when my dad told me that, there was a siren or a bingo moment going off in my head going, bingo, that's where you learned it. That's why you keep saying that to me. And ever since that moment through my life, without knowing that moment happened until last week, which is crazy, my dad tells me every week, every single week, Frazer, make sure you get your receipt. No one, a lot of people become wealthy giving money away, but throwing the money away, no. So I'm so grateful that we've been able to do this. So it triggered my dad telling that story to me. And it excites me because although I've lived with my dad pretty much 28 years of my life, I thought I learned everything by being around him. I would say I'm more mentored than I am book mentored. I've learned more from mentors being around them. I've been very fortunate to be around some of the best people in the industry because of my dad's success. But it just excites me to just know that there are still things that we can learn from people, even if you spent hundreds and thousands of hours with people. So yeah, I'm excited, and I'm so grateful for the industry of network marketing. I don't even know where I'd be without it. I really don't.
Well, it's funny because you share that story, and I was sharing with one of the young guys that I'm mentoring, who's in high school right now, that I'm mentoring on a lot of things, and I'm actually this kid's wrestling coach, believe it or not. One of my other passions, it's been wrestling, judo, all that stuff for many years. So, but I'm also teaching this kid some things, because he's going to grow up, and sports will be in the rearview mirror, and what's he going to do, whether it's multi-level or something else. And I was sharing with him the other day that one of the things that impacted me, I was probably 18, 19. I was working as a helper on a job. My father was an electrician. So one of my summer jobs was I'd work, on job sites, getting coffee, picking up pipe, all that kind of stuff. And the contractor we were working for had ironically gone to the same university that I was going to, Seton Hall University in New Jersey. And he said to me one day, he goes, "Hey, why don't you come home and have dinner with my wife and I tonight?" And I was like, "Wow, that'd be great." Like, like a working guy doesn't get invited to the boss's house very often in that business, right? So I went to his house, and he said, "There's something I want to show you." And it's really because we shared the same university, I think, that he wanted to do this. And he wasn't that much older. He was maybe 25. And he took me down to the shop where the trucks would come back at the end of the day. And he showed me his grandfather, this very old Italian man who was probably at the time 75, 80 years old. And his grandfather would be going through the boxes that would come back from the job site, taking the wire nuts and separating them. And to the point with your dad, they were like maybe a penny a piece at that time, right? Maybe today it'd be 2 cents, right? Nothing, but hundreds of them that he would sit there and he would sort out in coffee cans. And I talked to him and he told me, the grandfather that is, he said, if you take care of the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. And that lesson impacted me. And then a few years later, the only segue I ever took out of network marketing was after my first company had some problems with the Food and Drug Administration here in the US. I was very young. And I wound up selling life insurance for a couple of years through MetLife in New York. And I'll never forget this as long as I live, that I would sit in front of people who were now about my age group. And I'd recognize when I would do their finances for them that they would never be able to retire, or they wouldn't be able to stay in the same home that they were in, have the same lifestyle. And it made me almost paranoid to start to save money. So that's something, as I got back in network marketing in the mid 80s, that I started to teach the distributors around the world is, look, you pay your taxes, right? Render unto Caesar's what Caesar's. Save for your retirement, save for your kids' education fund. Don't go out and buy the fanciest car or the biggest Rolex watch. Have financial prudence, just like anybody would in traditional business. And one of the problems with network marketing is there's so much flash. So many people think they're going to impress somebody and they're going to join. No, they're going to join because of everything you described today. You've got a valid product. You've got a valid opportunity. You care about people. You're passionate, about life. Those are the reasons people are going to join you. So those two lessons stayed with me as a kid, and they've carried over into my old age in network marketing. But that story that you told, a lot of people have those stories, and they think it's because I'm cheap. It's not because I'm cheap. It's because I was raised by parents that didn't really understand money, and when my dad died, he left us in debt, quite honestly. So I saw that firsthand as well. I said, I'm never going to do that to my kids. So, thank you for sharing that story. It brings it back. But let me give you the last word. I'll wrap up when you're done here. But you've done so much in your young life, and I'm so proud to know you. I'm so proud that your parents I consider friends for all these years, even though we haven't seen each other, unfortunately, in a number of years. But I'm praying for your dad every day, by the way, and his situation. He's a great man. Your mom's a great woman, and they raised a great son. But last word, talking to thousands of distributors and would-be distributors around the world about our industry. What do you want to tell them?
We're in the shipping business. It starts with a friendship. Then you build a relationship. Your job is to find the entrepreneurship in people, to create a partnership. It'll start with hardship, and it takes time to take the rocket ship to the moon. But with your mentorship, you will create leadership. In order to find paradise, you need to get on a ship. Some people will jump ship. Some people will lose their ship. Ship happens. So just understand and appreciate. There might be some tips in there about what my new book's all about. But hey, that's the journey to success in network marketing. Create friendships and build relationships, because even if they don't join your network marketing business, they will serve you in one way or another. And I think the big thing I could give you, it's such a simple thing, is just help people, serve people. One of my favorite definitions of success is by Jim Rohn. If you haven't heard of Jim Rohn, please write it down. It's Jim, spelled Jim, Rohn. He says you could measure success by the number of times your name appears in other people's success stories. And John will appear in my success story simply because of the mentorship that he gave and passed on to my dad, who then passed it on to me. Network marketing is not just about the residual income, but it's about the residual impact that you bring. And if you focus on the impact over the income, the passion over the the passion over the profits, the mission over the commission, you will live a very fulfilled life. The first few years in network marketing business might be commission based and commission focused. But yeah, the long term is mission focused. My dad always used to say to me, in the beginning, you'll do a lot for a little. And in the end, you'll do a little for a lot. And I'm pretty sure John was in the room when he might have first heard that happen or heard that say. So grateful to you, my friend. I appreciate everything that you've done. I'm really excited for the chance to be able to interview you as well on my podcast. And yeah, I'm excited to share more knowledge with the world and that marketing profession.
Well, you have been a blessing to so many people, and you know, you're only just starting. I mean, you're 32 now.
32. Mm-hmm.
32. Wow, you're just starting here. You've had such an impact already. I know you're speaking at all Eric Worre's events. I know you're speaking around the world. You're in constant demand. So I just appreciate the time that we spent together, and continued great success. So just in signing off, this is John Soliter. The name of the show, Leaving Nothing to Chance, podcasted on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, a number of other social medias, podcasts around the world. Number one. Number two, the two titles of my book that you want to find on Amazon: Leave Nothing to Chance, with my co-author Foster Owusu. Great story that Foster has, coming from Ghana with nothing and creating a tremendous life through network marketing in beautiful Toronto, Canada. And my other book, which is called Moving Up 2020, with my co-author Keith Hooper from California. And these books, one is on kind of how to build a business, and the other is why to build a business. So signing off for now, this is John Soliter and Frazer Brookes, all the way from beautiful Dubai. I think this is my first interview with Dubai, by the way, of my life. So thank you once again.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Leave Nothing to Chance. If you want to know more about what it takes to succeed in the network marketing space, join us again next week for another amazing episode. For additional resources and to connect with John Soliter, visit leavingnothingtochance.com. Don't forget to leave a review, and we'll see you next time.